Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's Facebook Live. My name is Haley. I'm one of the keepers here in the Natural Encounters building, and today I'll be talking about our two Asian small-clawed otters, Dantu and Athena, and I will be introducing Athena to us as well. So today we have some enrichment set up, and our otters were just let out on exhibit. They are one of the most dexterous species of otter, meaning they use their hands a lot to find food, so our enrichment today is them finding food in a puzzle feeder. They are getting smelt, mussels, and some shrimp as well. On camera, you can see Athena. If you're here at the zoo and you want to tell Dantu and Athena apart, Dantu is darker and he's a little bit larger in size. Athena is more light brown. She's got a little bit of darker lips and she has a rounder face as well. Athena and Dantu were introduced on August 18th. They had a really great introduction and bonded quickly. When Athena first got here, she was a little shy, but as soon as she and Dantu bonded, she really started to come out of her shell and interacts with keepers a lot more. So Athena will be turning 3 years old on October 19th, and Dantu turned 12 years old on September 5th. For us, they are a breeding pair, so we are hoping to have some offspring in the future. Their gestation period is about 68 to 72 days. They have about 1 to 6 pups in a litter with an average of 2 to 4 pups. Otters are an incredibly social species, and their groups are made up of one monogamous breeding pair. Athena's really showing off how she's using her hands to feel around for that food. She loves her fish. It's one of her favorites. In the wild, their diet would consist of crustaceans, mollusks, fish, and some reptile species as well. Here at the Houston Zoo, we give them a variety of food, including mussels, clams, shrimp. We give them catfish, trout, smelt, and occasionally we'll also give them some crawfish in the future, hopefully. So Asian small-clawed otters, true to their name, are found in Southeast Asia. They are found in Indonesia, China, the Philippines. They are found near riverbanks, mangroves, and rice paddy fields. They are swimming right now. It's one of their favorite activities to do. So Asian small-clawed otter species are adapted specifically to swim since they are found near water. They have 2 layers of fur. The first one being their guard hairs, and those guard hairs help protect their skin from getting wet. So even though you see that they're slicked back and swimming, their skin is not getting wet. They also, between those 2 layers of fur, will have air pockets that help them to swim, as well as long, slender bodies that help them move through the water. They have webbed feet, special valves to close off their ears and nostrils so they don't get water in there, and they can hold their breath for about 8 minutes underwater. Their whiskers are used to help detect water currents and changes in pressure as well. Something that's really cool about otter species is they are an indicator species, meaning that they can tell you if you have a healthy environment or not. Especially Asian small-clawed otters, since they are one of the top predators where they are found. They will let you know if you have a healthy ecosystem. If you find an otter there, chances are you have a healthy ecosystem. If they move from an area, there could be an issue with pollution that is causing them to lose their food source. What is their favorite food? That's a great question. It is shrimp. They love their shrimp. Dantu, he went for that first in the large pool. They do also enjoy catfish. So here at the Houston Zoo, we have 3 otter species, the Asian small-clawed otters being the smallest of those 13 species. Dantu weighs about 7 pounds and Athena weighs about 6 pounds. Compare that to our giant otters that we also have here at the zoo in our Pantanal habitat, weighing around 50 pounds. So you can come here and see our smallest species or come and see our largest species. You can also come see the North American river otters in the Children's Zoo, and that is a species that is found in Texas. So even though you're not going to see an Asian small-clawed otter in Texas unless you visit a zoo or aquarium, you can still do your part to help protect this species in the wild by helping to reduce your pollution As I mentioned earlier, they have a healthy ecosystem, lots of food sources. As long as their water isn't polluted, they're going to have a healthy ecosystem. So here in Texas, since we do have otter species, if you help reduce your pollution and plastic use and keep our water systems healthy, you can help keep our otters healthy as well. Athena is showing off how she's using her hands right now. Their paw pads are extra sensitive compared to a lot of other species. They are able to use that to feel around on the ground to find their prey items. They also love to play around with things here that we give them. So we love to give them enrichment. That is something that helps to mentally and physically kind of help enrich our otters. So we will give them things with texture where they can feel around and have different textures touch their paw pads. We'll give them puzzle feeders where they have to feel around for their food. And we'll also give them lots of things to nest in. Otters nest in something called a holt, and that is where they usually have their pups. What is my favorite thing about working with otters? It is probably their personalities. Otters live in big social groups, and usually animals with big social groups have big personalities, and our otters exhibit that. Dontu is very protective of Athena. He doesn't necessarily like new people meeting her. And Athena is a little shy, like I mentioned earlier. Dontu helped her come out of her shell. They are also very vocal species. They make calls that have to do with alerting, greeting, various communications. The call that I am most familiar with, or vocalization I'm most familiar with, is their feeding, is when they want to be fed. Dontu will give out loud chirping calls when he is ready to eat. Athena is a bit more dainty, and she gives out soft, almost bird-like chirping calls. As I mentioned earlier, they are built to swim. You'll see her dip her head underwater to eat that food. They will also use tools to eat their food as well. One of the tools that they use that's different from other otter species is sometimes they will leave their mollusks up on land to help kind of dry out in the sun and open up that way. They usually like to dip their food in water though here to kind of help open it up. And we are here in natural encounters with our two Asian small-clawed otter species, Dontu and Athena. A fun fact about Athena is she did come from the Columbus Zoo in Ohio, and she got her name after the sisters in The Little Mermaid. We also have here on our River's Edge exhibit our two squirrel species that you might see around Walker and Chanel. They are also found in Southeast Asia, and they are our Prevost squirrels. Debbie asks, will they breed? Yes, we are hoping that they will breed and have pups. Their gestation period is about 68 to 72 days. And I may have mentioned earlier, they do have nests in the wild called holts or dens where they will have their pups. We give them special nest boxes here that are nice and peaceful. Every night before bed, Dontu will make a nest for Athena with whatever material we give him. Sometimes it's hay, sometimes it's wood wool, but he will run around and build a nest for her to make sure she is comfortable. They love to play and wrestle. They're an extremely playful species. You might see them sleeping sometimes, but a lot of times they like to be in the pool over there playing. Rachel asked, what is their favorite enrichment item? That is a really great question, Rachel. Their favorite enrichment item is probably their puzzle feeders because they get food as a reward for using those. But other than that, they like scent. Otters they use scent marking as a way to communicate. So when they have a new scent, it's very interesting to them. We also like to give them a lot of material to dry off on, including wood wool, hay, and other nest building items. As I mentioned earlier, they do have special valves in their ears that can close off to help prevent water from getting in, as well as their noses. And their fur is specially adapted to have air pockets to help them float a little bit better, and they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes underwater. Some of the issues that Asian small-clawed otters face in the wild would be loss of habitat. As human populations grow, they are losing their habitat. If you are just tuning in, Athena was introduced to Dontu on August 18th, and they have been inseparable ever since. They cuddle together, they play together. They do not usually share food. Athena does like to try to steal Dontu's food a lot of the time. Athena is going to be our lighter otter right here. She has a little bit of, I like to call, darker lipstick going on. And she also has a rounder face. Dontu is our darker and larger otter. He is about 7 pounds and Athena is about 6 pounds. You'll see Athena using her hands. As I mentioned before, they have very sensitive paw pads and really like to feel around. Occasionally, if I have to squeegee with them back there, they like to try to grab the different tools we use to clean, like the squeegee, and see what that feels like. They communicate in several different ways. They have vocal communications for alert, greeting, threats, and they have nonverbal communications such as scent marking. Dontu is over here showing off how he's going to try to open up this mussel here. We have mussels as part of their diet. We try to keep their diet as natural as it would be in the wild, which it includes fish, mollusks like clams and mussels. They also get some shrimp as well, and we'll give them a variety of fish. You can see their long whiskers. Those whiskers are used to help detect changes in the water pressure and water current. Dontu is 12 years old. He turned 12 on September 5th, and Athena will be turning 3 years old on October 19th. You can see them swimming. They are specially adapted for swimming. It's one of their favorite activities. We do try to give them plenty of enrichment items that we put in their their middle pool and their small pool for them to play around with. In the back, we like to give them different toys that they can feel and play with as well. We'll give them different bedding materials to help nest down in, different puzzle feeders, and a variety of other things that are new and exciting for them. Feel free to ask any questions you have about our otter species, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Athena and Dontu, if you're just turning in, are a breeding pair, and we are hoping to have pups. If you didn't hear me earlier, their gestation period is about 68 to 72 days, with 1 to 6 pups in a litter and an average of 2 to 4. We like to give their diet in a variety of ways. So otters have a very fast metabolism, so they don't get 1 or 2 feedings. We try to give them 3 to 5 feedings a day. They are usually brought inside into their holding area, where we will give them some of their food, or we will put their food out on exhibit for them to find. Paula asked how old they are. So Dontu is 12 years old, and Athena will be 3 years old in a couple months. Otters are incredibly intelligent animals, and we do have a training team that does train them several times a day for a variety of things to help keep them enriched and active, and also behaviors such as scale, where we will get their weights and help with our husbandry behaviors as well. Do they have sharp teeth? That's a great question. They do have sharp teeth. We do not do free contact with these otters, so free contact means we would go in with them. We like to keep a protective area between us because in case they do bite. They do have very intense bites. Thanks for tuning in. Join us next Wednesday at 11 a.m. and come by the Natural Encounters building to visit Athena and welcome her to the Houston Zoo. Thank you.